On Live at 5 with Mark Matthews from Edward Jones. How you doing today?
Good evening, great.
Great. Now, some have called Wall Street a glorified casino at times. Over the years, if they do it right, you win. But the players have been winning, but a lot really depends on the amount of risk you want to take and if you do it at the right time.
Well, that and really knowing what kind of risk tolerance you have.
How much of a gambler are you?
Well, how much can you tolerate your things fluctuating?
Okay.
I don't like to think of myself as a gambler because I really don't do that.
Right.
But investments, if they're going to grow, they will fluctuate.
I guess it's hard to write that check when it's your own money and you send it even to invest it. It's hard to sign it.
You need to know yourself in terms of how much of that can you take. And of course, when we're young, hopefully could tolerate more of that fluctuation because we've got many years to accumulate, buy things when they're down and so forth. As we get close to retirement and retirement, it doesn't mean we just hunker down in the, with our head in the sand and do nothing. There's probably more of a balance. But when you're young, you're accumulating. Fluctuations are okay to have. When you're older and taking distributions, taking money out, you want to draw from a more consistent, stable pool.
Now there's buying stocks, but also even for our 401ks and such, there's always that question, how much do you want in stocks, how much in bonds?
That's right.
And stocks are a little more risky or a little more,
Yep.
And so I'd heard that there was some kind of formula to figure out if you subtract your age from 100 and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's an old rule of thumb that probably isn't a bad starting point. So your age minus or off of 100 would say how much you would have in equity, stocks, the other portion is some type of fixed income. There's many ways to kind of arrive at that right figure, and it changes over the course of your life. When you're young, obviously, you take your age off. If you're 30 years old, that would say 70%.
70 in the more risk. I won't say
Right.
riskier, but the more fluctuating.
Correct.
I guess,
And when you're
stocks and
70,
the
that would
bonds.
say 30% in the equity.
Because you don't have much time before you retire.
Right, and you're drawing off of that. So knowing yourself, I give people a quiz to help us figure out what is your risk tolerance. And sometimes people might say, "Oh, I can take a lot of risk," and then when things fluctuate, you find out that they really don't want to take that risk.
But when it's their own money and
Right.
things have a chance.
Or sometimes folks think, "Well, I'm pretty conservative," and then they get frustrated with the results of a conservative mix and kind of want to bump that up. So it's a moving target. You don't have to do it by yourself, but and really it takes some investing experience before you can kind of see where you really stand on that spectrum.
So
to get your feet wet.
Right, a lot of folks are 401k. They can adjust it every year. Some can't all the time,
Right.
but we're getting closer to that time where maybe people can
Absolutely.
move a little bit and they can think about that a little
Autumn's a great time, autumn and winter, for evaluating stuff like that, taking advantage of those annual opportunities, revisit how much you're putting into your 401k and stuff like that.
And you're always saying put a little more.
That's right.
A little more every year.
You're
a little more.
You're going to want to retire someday.
That's right. Well, let's hope so, and in a good way.
Yeah.
If folks want to reach you at Edward Jones, how can they get you?
Sure, yeah. Phone number is 232-5757. EdwardJones.com. You can find us through that method as well. So
if you see me here doing Live at 5 when I'm 83, you know I haven't invested well. And I feel sorry for you all out there if I'm still here. Thanks, Mark.
I hope it's cooler in here.
Let's hope so. Thanks for joining us today. Last year, our very own Mike Brassi